So unfortunately we aren't able to go in front of the savannah at the moment, but hopefully we'll be able to see some of our animals through the fence over here to the left-hand side. Our stars of the savannah are of course our giraffes. We do have a couple of them over at the feeder over here. Those are two different kinds of giraffe. The one closer to us is called a reticulated giraffe. They have those lighter brown spots with the kind of more refined edges on them. And then the ones with the darker brown spots that look like a crushed leaf pattern are called, hold on, I think I switched those. The ones with the darker spots are Maasai. The ones with the lighter brown are reticulated. There's also a big antelope over there that you might have seen, big tan antelope called a common eland, second largest antelope in all of Africa. They are one of the slowest. They can jump up about 5 or 6 feet straight up in the air though, so they could jump right over my head if they wanted to. And the tiny little gazelle that are clustered together over by the fence with a fancy little racing stripe down their side are called Thompson's gazelle. They can run in excess of 50 miles an hour, so that little racing stripe down their side is not just for show. Alright, next exhibit coming up here on the left-hand side is home to a couple of different animals. We have our marabou storks. I saw a couple of them towards the back, those very big birds with those stilt-like legs. They are called the Undertaker birds. They are considered to be one of the ugliest birds in the entire world. I don't know, I think they look pretty cool, but I think hissing cockroaches look cute, so what do I know? Up the front right here we have one of our grevy zebras. We have 3 of them here at the zoo, but you'll usually see 2 of them out here. We have 2 girls and 1 boy, and the boy is related to the girls, so we don't want to have them out on exhibit together. Usually the male is the one that's out at night, so most of the time during the day you are going to see the girls out here. To the right over here, behind all these trees, kind of a little hard to see, but we have an island out here that has some black and white rough lemurs, and then coming up a little bit further ahead of us, again on the lake, we have another island with some red rough lemurs. I'll talk about them a little more on the other side of the lake, but if you've heard some kind of noise that sounds kind of like fighting over here, that's actually our lemurs. They're not really fighting, that's just how they talk. They are just letting everyone know that those are their islands. So they're probably just talking about their day and their favorite TV shows. Next exhibit up on the left-hand side here is our greater flamingo exhibit. Usually our flamingos are keeping cool in the pond, so you'll get a little glimpse of them as we come by here. They are the largest species of flamingo in the entire world and the most widespread. But they're not quite as pink as other species of flamingos, like the Chilean flamingos that we'll see a little bit later on the tour. This big gray bird is not a flamingo. This is actually Khan. He is a blue heron. He was a wild bird that was found injured on zoo grounds and actually had to have his wing amputated. So he just hangs out with our flamingos and enjoys all the free food. Although he doesn't really like having the company of the flamingos as far as we can tell. Off to the left-hand side here is our Patty dinosaur. It's our only dinosaur that we have at the moment. In October, if you really like dinosaurs, we will have dinosaurs in the desert. We'll have a whole bunch of really big animatronic dinosaurs, way bigger than that guy, over on the Desert Lives Trail, which will be pretty cool. So come check that out if you're interested. Next exhibit to the left-hand side over here is our spotted-necked otter exhibit. Unfortunately, it's kind of hard to see them through that little tiny window here, but they are pretty cute if you can see them all swimming around. We have 2 of them in here, a breeding pair, and because they're such efficient hunters, they will spend most of the day grooming each other and napping and just playing around because they do have the free time to be able to do that. To the left over here, we have our 2 dromedary camels, the wildest right at the Phoenix Zoo. You can tell they're dromedary camels because they only have 1 hump on their back. There is another type of camel called a Bactrian camel, and Bactrian camels have 2 humps on their back. The easiest way to remember those names is if you take the capital D in dromedary and put it on its side, it has 1 hump. And if you take the capital B in Bactrian and put it on its side, it has 2 humps. A lot of people think that camels store water in their humps. They actually don't store any water in there. They store cotton candy, and we fill them up every morning at the snack bar over here. No, I'm kidding. They store fat in their humps, and that fat can help them go an entire month without food and up to 2 whole weeks without water, which is very important when you're out there crossing the desert. Next exhibit, again on the left-hand side here, is home to two different animals. I think Ebenezer, or not Ebenezer, Beaker, our giant anteater, is probably somewhere at the back. He likes to walk around somewhere back there. Even though he is called an anteater, he doesn't like to eat ants. He actually likes to eat termites because ants will bite his tongue too much. So I really think he should be called a terminator instead. See if you can spot our maned wolf in here as well. She is crepuscular, which means she usually comes out at dawn and dusk. So she's probably, oh, she's right in the corner here. She's just moving around a little bit behind these bushes. She is called a maned wolf, but she looks like a big fox. They are actually called foxes on stilts. That's their little nickname. And even though she looks like a fox and is called a wolf, she's neither of those things. She's her own little canine in her own little genus. A lot of the time over here you can actually smell her before you see her. She smells a lot like a skunk, which isn't very pleasant, but it helps her mark her territory. To the right over here we have Monkey Village, only place like it in the US where you can go inside the exhibit with the monkeys in an AZA accredited institution. We have 14 little squirrel monkeys in there. They only weigh about 2 pounds fully grown, so they can be pretty hard to see, especially when they're mostly taking naps when it's really hot. We do have Tuvok in there. He is our youngest squirrel monkey. He just turned 1 year old yesterday, so go wish him happy birthday if you go in there. Some more monkeys in the next exhibit to the right here. They're usually hanging out in the green box in the top corner. We have a male and female howler monkey. Even though they are called black howler monkeys, only one of them in there is black, and that's because they're actually all born a brindly brown color, and then the boys will get darker fur as they get older. And even though they are called howler monkeys, they don't actually howl. They sound more like Darth Vader got stuck in a garbage disposal, and that sound can travel up to 3 whole miles. Over to the right here, you can see one of our Riyas. It kind of looks like a smaller ostrich. They are from South America. They are a type of ratite, which is a flightless bird. That is our male, and we do have a few chicks running around in there. They're getting pretty big. It is the male that will sit on the nest and raise the young instead of the female, which is pretty interesting. To the left-hand side through the trees, we may be able to spot the silhouette of some horses. That's our Thunderbird Charity's Equine Center. If you want to learn how to take care of and ride horses, we actually offer lessons for anyone ages 3 to 103. So if you're older than that, I'm sorry, you are out of luck. But go to phoenixzoo.org for more information on that if you're interested. To the right-hand side over here, keeping cool like other flamingos, these are the Chilean flamingos I mentioned. You will notice they are more pink than the greater flamingos. Although some of them aren't quite as pink as the others in here, especially around their heads. That's because we do have some young flamingos in here, about 1.5 years old, and it can take Chilean flamingos up to 3 whole years to fully turn pink. So they do have some time yet. You might have heard that flamingos get their pink coloring from eating a lot of shrimp. That's just one of the things they can eat. Shrimp, other crustaceans, blue-green algae, anything that's full of what's called beta-carotens, because those beta-carotens are what turns their feathers pink. Unfortunately, that means we can't feed them Skittles and expect them to turn rainbow, but I really wish we could, because that would be pretty cool to see. The exhibits to the left are home to some very big lizards that are probably hanging out further towards the ground, but if you find yourself over here, come and check them out. We have some chuckwallas and some iguanas over here that are pretty cool to look at. To the right-hand side over here, there is a little clearing where you can see into our Andean bear exhibit here in the forest of Uco. I didn't see our Andean bears we went by, unfortunately, but maybe some people at the back will get a little luckier. If you didn't see Riya, our Andean bear, you could always head down this trail. It does go 360 degrees around her exhibit, so you're going to have a lot of opportunities to spot her over here. There is a decent amount of shade over here too. I know it's not too sunny today, but if you want to get out of the heat for a bit, I'd recommend over here. If you don't see Rio on the ground, you could always check up in the trees. Andean bears are the most arboreal of the bears. That just means they like to spend a lot of time way up in the trees. And they actually have been known to spend up to 3 whole days up there waiting for their favorite fruit to ripen, which is some dedication. We have a lot of other cool animals down there too, like white-faced saki monkeys, spider monkeys, freshwater stingrays, boa constrictors, and one of the rarest birds in the world, the blue-billed curassow, just to name a few of the animals down there. Speaking of birds, to the right here, in this little hut, you can kind of see our green Ora pendola hanging out there near the food dish on the left-hand side. They get their name from the boys that will actually flip upside down on a branch and swing like a pendulum to impress the girls. Can you imagine if a guy did that to impress you? That'd be pretty funny. Behind the green Ora pendola, you won't really be able to see it, but behind that fence there we have our wetlands area. We have 7 American alligators down there. The largest is 9 feet long, and his name is Brutus. So if you head down here, see if you can spot all 7 of them. Some more birds again to the right hand side here. We have some Scarlet Ibises, which are the darker pink birds, and we have roseate spoonbills, which are the lighter pink birds with a spoonbill shape. The Scarlet Ibises and roseate spoonbills get their pink coloring the same way as the flamingos from the food they eat, although the Scarlet Ibises actually start out jet black and turn pink instead of starting out white like the flamingos, which is pretty cool. To the left-hand side of the train, coming up here, is one of the trails that goes down to our Children's Trail and Harmony Farm. If you want to meet 30 of the friendliest little goats down there in our petting zoo, they would be very happy to see you. We also do have Windmill House, this big red building over here that does have some air conditioning, so if you want to get out the heat, head over there. On the pond here to the left, we have 3 different kinds of pelicans. We have American white pelicans, American brown pelicans, and the light gray ones are actually not called light gray pelicans. They're called Dalmatian pelicans from the Dalmatian coast. As we pass the trees to the right-hand side here, these yards are home to our Galapagos and Aldabra tortoises, first and second largest species of tortoise in the entire world. Looks like most of them are hanging out inside for the moment, although I do see one of our girls way in the far side of that first yard, looking a lot like a rock, and I did see a little glimpse of one of them going into the cave. But if you do happen to come by here and they are out and about, we have 2 big boys in that first yard. One is Elvis, a male Galapagos tortoise. He has kind of a flatter shell. And we have Allie, a male Aldabra tortoise, who is pretty big for an Aldabra. He weighs about 640 pounds. And he will keep growing throughout his lifetime. The girls are a lot smaller than the boys, although they aren't particularly light. They weigh upwards of 200 pounds. But all of our tortoises' ages range from about 25 to almost 100 years old in Allie's case, but that's still pretty young for a tortoise. They can easily live up to 150 or even 200 years old. To the right over here, right up the front there, we have our Toco toucans. 97% of their diet is made up of fruit, and they love a good food fight every now and then. They have been known to drop fruit onto other animals' heads from up in the trees. Of course, they probably won't do that to animals like the jaguar that we have in the exhibits to the left. In this heat, our jaguars are usually just taking a little nap towards the bottom of the exhibit, but if you come by here, see if you can spot them. Their names are Harry and Kaipora, and like most cats, they aren't very social animals, and so they do like to spend their time alone, each in their own yard, so they don't have to argue over which platform they want to sit on. To the right over here, once we pass the bamboo, you'll be able to see one of our beautiful Asian elephant girls here in our elephant exhibit. That looks like Sheena, I think. We have 3 elephants, Reba, Sheena, and Indu. Sheena's my favorite. You'll never see more than one of them out on exhibit at a time, just because when we got our elephants, they were a lot older and they didn't grow up together, they didn't know each other, and they didn't want to share their space. If you can imagine asking 3 fully grown women to share a small apartment together, they wouldn't like it, and neither did our elephants. So when they go inside, they do get pampered, they get their daily shower, and they get their weekly pedicure. Each foot can take up to 90 minutes, and we do that for them because even though it doesn't look like it, elephants do kind of walk on their tippy toes. So we like to keep their feet nice and healthy. Another way we keep them healthy is, if you look in there, you'll see all sorts of things like cargo nets with hay and puzzle feeders and logs and tires all over the place. That's kind of like an elephant gym. In the wild, elephants will walk up to about 30 miles a day looking for their food. Obviously, we don't have 30 miles here to give them in the middle of Phoenix, so instead we give them all of those things. So they have to step over them, they have to move things, and they have to reach up to get their food. And it keeps not only their bodies healthy, but their minds as well, because they are foraging for their food, more like they would be doing in the wild. Alright, I'm going to try and go around this corner kind of slow so you guys can all get a nice breeze from the fan, but as we turn the corner, there will be a big display case with some replica elephant skulls, so keep an eye out for that. The big one on the left is an adult African elephant skull. The little one on the right is a juvenile Asian elephant skull. And there is a big brick-looking thing in the bottom right corner that is actually an elephant tooth. Elephant teeth are so big they can only fit 4 of them in their mouth at a time. But unlike the 2 sets of teeth we get over our lifetime, elephants get more like 6 or 7 sets of teeth. That's a lot of money from the tooth fairy. They get so many sets of teeth because they eat a lot of food. Our elephants eat at least 150 pounds of food a day, and that can really wear down their teeth, so it's a lot easier for them to grow in a new set of teeth instead of having to go to the dentist and getting some elephant dentures instead. That wouldn't be very fun. As we come up this little hill here, the next exhibit on the right-hand side is going to be Isle of the Tiger. We have 2 Sumatran Tigers here at the Phoenix Zoo, but keep an eye out for Jay in the further yard because Soraya, our girl, in the closer yard has been off exhibit for some medical exams, unfortunately. I do see Jay's head poking up, though, right up against the fence line over there behind that rock. Oh, he's taking a little swim. He's keeping nice and cool in the pond there. Sumatran tigers are from the island of Sumatra, and they actually do love to swim. They have webbing in between their toes that makes it very easy for them to catch their prey if they can drive it into the water. So see if you can spot those little webbing in between his toes. They are the most densely striped of all the tigers. If you were to shave Jay or Soraya down, you would see those stripes go all the way down to their skin. But it would probably be the last thing you ever see because they wouldn't be very happy with you. Hopefully you can still see Jay through those people there. Getting out of the water, I think, now. The trail to the right-hand side of us, if we kept going straight there, that is our Inner Tropics Trail. We have our Borneo Orangutan family down there with adorable 2-year-old Jiwa. Their billet is air-conditioned, so it's a good place to go if you're getting a little too hot. Across from them is Tropical Flights with a walk-through aviary, and on the corner here is Land of the Dragons with our Komodo dragons and Chinese alligators. There are only 2 types of alligator in the entire world, Chinese and American, and we have both of them here at the Phoenix Zoo. Behind Land of the Dragons there, swinging around, are our buff-cheek gibbons playing with their behavioral enrichment for the day. That is the boy swinging around there. Girl's probably by the night house. That's where she likes to hang out. You can tell the difference between them the same way as the howler monkeys. The boy has the darker fur and the girl has the lighter fur. Although unlike the howler monkeys, these guys are apes. Gibbons are small-bodied apes, and you can tell the difference between monkeys and apes pretty easily by looking for a tail. If it has a tail, it's a monkey. If it doesn't have a tail, it's an ape. That gets a little more confusing with our other 2 islands out there. Like I said, we have some lemurs on those 2 islands. They do have tails, and they are primates, but they're not monkeys, and they're not apes either. They're actually called prosimians. A completely different type of primate, and one of the oldest in the entire world, and they're only found on the island of Madagascar. To the left-hand side over here, we have the endangered species carousel. If you want to tell everyone you rode a tiger at the Phoenix Zoo, technically that would be true if you rode the carousel over there. Next to the carousel, that trail goes back down to our main plaza, our gift shop, the entrance to the Arizona Trail, and Stingray Bay. If you've never pet a stingray before, it's a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it. And if you've never fed a stingray before, we do have we have 2 more public feeds today. One is going on right now at 10:30, and the other one will go on at 1 o'clock. So it's only $2 extra to help feed our stingrays, and then you get to go and brag to everyone about how you fed a stingray. Thank you all so much for riding the safari train with me today. Again, my name is Miranda. If you have any